Welcome to God's Vibes, the faith gym for faith walkers who are done playing small and ready to live fully led. I'm Juliana Page, apostolic voice, prophetic coach, and founder of Courage Go. And this space is where you train in truth, strengthen your spirit, and walk in your kingdom identity. If you're ready to grow in boldness, break through self-doubt, and become who God says you are, this is for you. Let's dive in. What's good, faith walkers? Welcome back to the God's Vibes podcast. We've got another episode with our flight crew today. They are the facilitators in our flight school, which is our prophetic basics program inside Courage Co. And we have applications for that open now. It officially starts on June 30th. So you can apply now. The applications close on June 23rd, and then you'll officially start on June 30th. You do have to apply to be considered for this cohort. It is 6 months in length, but we go deep in there, even though it's called Prophetic Basics, and it will truly help you grow in wisdom, in discernment, in maturity. It will help you with accountability, processing, and stewarding words of the Lord. It'll help you understand the purpose of the prophetic, and we believe that all can prophesy, but our heart is to help people do that with maturity, because we know that while we love and have such a passion for the prophetic, and we know it's part of our inheritance, the prophetic has actually hurt a lot of people too. So we're committed to raising up great ministers and leaders that know how to use the prophetic well, and they're accountable to stewarding that well. And also, you get activated in your spiritual gifts and accelerated in them in community. So it's a great way to get activated and start seeing how the diversity of the body of Christ works together. So I do encourage you to be a part of that. If you want to taste and see a little bit about what the prophetic is about, I do also encourage you to come hang with the flight crew on June 15th through June 19th. We have a 5-day prophetic summit that is absolutely free, and it's going to be a mix of activations, of teaching, of prophecy, of some Q&A time, and just so much goodness. So I encourage you to join us for that. You do have to register to be a part of that. We will use the same Zoom link throughout the 5 days, but you do have to register to make sure that you get the details for that. So if for some reason you clicked on the landing page but have not yet registered for the event, make sure that you register, so last minute you're not trying to figure out how to get on these live calls. The schedule is Monday the 15th, 7 p.m. Central Time, Tuesday the 16th, 2 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday the 17th, and Thursday the 18th, 7 p.m. Central Time, and then Friday the 19th, 2 p.m. Central Time. So those are some really great things to be a part of. We also have some of our spirit-driven success life coaches graduating the certification program on Thursday. So we're going to have them on the Thursday night session on becoming a leader God can trust. So you can hear how they've done that and hear a little bit about their stories too. It's going to be a really sweet time. So if you've heard their interviews here on the podcast, you get to hear from them in person live if you would like to. So come celebrate with us. Come dive in. It's a beautiful gift to have that summit for free. I will promise you the value is not free. So come join us while you can from that. And let's dive into this episode with the flight crew. What is good, faith walkers? Welcome back. We've got our flight crew back with us. Have you guys been loving their conversations? We're learning so many fun things, hearing about the voice of God, discerning God, trusting what God is sharing. That's a different thing entirely. Also, how your identity and courage impact what you are getting and receiving from the Lord prophetically. And today we're going to go into leadership and accountability, so it gets better. There's a theme here. But if you guys are brand spanking new, you haven't seen any of the videos, I want to encourage you to go back, listen to them on the God's Vibes podcast. Also, if you're following everyone on social media, you can see little clips of these videos. But we are doing something very special next week. On the 15th through the 19th, we are having a prophetic summit. What does this mean? It means that we are gathering for free. Okay, so you're invited, but you must register to join us. And we are going to follow topics that often don't get communicated or expressed and we don't get to learn about. So going deeper on how you can step into some of these supernatural, perhaps weird at first things, but you know that you need more spiritually than you're getting in the natural. Maybe you're starting to see that you can't win this battle in the natural, or you need new tools. You have tools in the natural, but they're different when it comes to the spirit. So we're going to go through many topics together next week. It's going to be a time of teaching and learning and receiving. There's going to be great Q&A time. There's going to be time to receive prophetic ministry and also to learn about flight school. And flight school is our prophetic basics program. So you're going to see some of the information that we're sharing here, but on a different level. We say basic, but it's not. And you'll have 6 months to really get immersed in learning about what the prophetic can make possible for you, how to be an example of what's possible with God, how to make sure that you are sifting through all the noise in the world and hearing his voice clearly and responding to his voice, how you are stewarding his wisdom, his discernment in the world, how you are leading like the Lord has called you to lead, and becoming somebody that can really be trusted with supernatural intel. Okay, so this is going to be a beautiful program for you. It officially starts on June 30th. Applications close on the 23rd. So you've got a couple of weeks to apply. We'll put all the details below. All right, and with that, let's dive into our session today. Tamra, you want to lead us?
Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much. And I want to welcome all the future passengers of
Yeah.
the flight school. I am Tamara. I'm your flight attendant today. And just as Juliana said, we have so much goodness over the past couple of sessions. And today I'm talking about leadership, who is really flying the plane here. And hopefully we can figure out who the pilot is and who your co-pilot is during this flight today. So we have a few questions that we're going to go over today and get our different perspectives. But this, again, is about leadership in the prophetic in our lives and the accountability of that leadership in this type of setting. So, are you ladies ready for the first question? Good.
Sure.
One of the first questions, why is it important for there to be leadership in the prophetic?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Who would like to start?
Well, I think it's important that there's leadership in and also training because we are often dealing with such sensitive issues and we might not know everything the person is going through. And so we need to be trained and led in the protocols of the prophetic, like how to treat people, making sure that it's encouraging and that we are speaking what Holy Spirit wants us to say and holding back something that maybe we're seeing and it's not the right time to share. So if we haven't been trained or led in those areas, we could potentially cause harm. So I think that's one thing.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. Susie?
So when I first heard about the prophetic, my mind went to like the Old Testament, the prophets. And I'm like, oh, I can't be a prophet. But then the New Testament is everybody can hear from God. And so with the leadership, I learned through the leadership that I had, the mentors that I had in the prophetic training, um, what that all meant. And like Sandy was talking about the protocols and everything being brief and amazing. And then also learning to have the leaders teach us how to learn how to discern what we heard, the words that we've received, and how to process that as well. So just jumping in, you can't like just jump in. I'm going to learn prophetic and then get all, you know, off in the wrong direction without the leadership kind of bringing you back to leading you through everything, because it's a lot to process and a lot to learn. So that's where I really relied on my leaders to teach me all of this.
And I
Yeah,
especially think of with you, Tamra, like having a lot of the visions and things that you've had, like kind of not maybe understanding what some of those things meant, but being able to be under leadership, being able to bring that to the group and go, hey, like this happened. Can you help me process this?
exactly. And I think it's always wise to have, that leadership to be able to bounce, like a word off of, does this align? Does it feel right? It's like, leadership is that container in the prophetic that really it illuminates what is being said and what is being cultivated in that group, right? So it can take what what the energy of God is, or maybe like what the current of God is, and it's channeling it into something. I shouldn't say the word channeling, but it's like, narrowing it down into something that actually, illuminates, and it brightens up every aspect of the prophetic, who you're ministering to. But also without the prophetic leadership, if you don't have the right leadership in the prophetic, someone can actually let their ego override of what God is actually saying. And when those things happen, things can start to go unchecked, right? And people end up getting, I think this is where, like, false prophecy can come in, because it becomes more about the pulpit versus more about what God's saying. So it's like it can be very fleeting. Like, we can have gifts, right? And then we can speak from those gifts, and then they're great in the moment, but then they can fizzle out. And we want to make sure that everything stays under the light and the essence of God, because his leadership ultimately, which funnels down into the natural leadership, is what turns that moment of God into a movement of God, and it actually brings light to what is actually coming forth, because you can't build something if you can't sustain it. And so we want to take, leadership, comes in with that vision and shares that visions, but we have to rely on everybody else underneath us to get that job done, because as a leader, you can't do it by yourself. You have to encompass the entire atmosphere, the community, the space, in order to bring it God's message to light.
Really good. I was
I like
thinking
what
as you
you're
guys were sharing too, it's some people might not know the word prophetic, right? Or they might not have come from a legacy of faith. And so we were talking offline about this, but if that happens to be you too, then you can just take this in a real life example. You've seen the power, likely at this point in your life, of really strong leadership in your life, whether that was a coach, a parent, some sort of role model or friend. It marked you in a really good way, and it showed you what health looks like. On the flip side, you might have also seen poor leadership, and it showed you the type of leader you don't want to be, or the way that you don't want to operate. And the same is true in ministry, right? You might have had a shepherd that didn't quite fit the title of a shepherd. You might have had a teacher that weaponized truth, didn't empower you with it, right? So similarly, in the prophetic, I was thinking of how chastening that can be. Like, I never want to be God in somebody else's life, or I never want to be the voice of God in somebody else's life. But I do want to help point them to the Lord, or encourage them and comfort them and build them up in the Lord. And that I don't know how to do if I've never done it before. It's almost like if you are new to walking with the Lord, you don't know how to do this. You've never been in school for this before. You've never been trained for this before. You're given so much access to a lot of power, and you don't know what to do with it. It's like giving a kid a gun.
Yes.
Extreme, right? Like giving somebody underage a vehicle to drive. Like, you give them a power tool that can cause so much harm, but in the right way, it can really function as it's designed to. So training and leadership helps you understand proper design, proper function, proper application. And a lot of times with the Lord too, we're let out into the deep. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's like, go to this place, I'll show you. You're like, where's that place, Lord? You know what I mean? Or like, walk on water, and you're like, how do you mean, Lord?
Yeah.
And like that literally is what the spiritual or the faith walk is. It's this inward journey where you're not given all the tangible things that you might gravitate towards in the natural. And we love control. We love what we can touch. We love what we can figure out. Faith is like, you have none of that. You have faith, and you have the word of God, and you have the voice of God, and you're like, perfect. Now what? And like, you're so trained in using your physical or natural senses. You're so trained in using your logic and reasonings to figure things out on your own, right? Or even moving by what you feel. And that's not how the Spirit works at all. So having people that are trained in it, people that are experienced and have a lot of testimony in it, people that can hold you accountable to a higher standard and make
Yep.
sure that you're not weaponizing truth or hurting people with what you're hearing or becoming a voice that does not serve them at all, right? It's very, very important because you're not going to know what your blind spots are and you're not going to know where your growth is without other people around you and accountability and without other strong leaders. So it is worth exploring. If you're not that person yet, where can you plug in and get that kind of support?
Yeah, and that's so good because, most of the words given are always encouraging
Yeah.
and they're uplifting, right? But sometimes we can actually receive a word that probably doesn't feel right to us, and it's that gut check. It's also, checking it with, like you said, having healthy leadership to go to or someone close to you that can trust to help you kind of like fish out this word, is this something that I can keep? And that's what's so great is that you do learn these protocols, that you are also the receiver responsible for what you receive. Like you can determine whether that word is for you or not. You can flush it and get rid of it and don't do anything. You don't have to act on that word. But most of the time, majority of the time, there are some words that are really really powerful, and it builds something inside of you, and it's designed in a way to make you move forward because God's giving you something. He's putting something in you because he knows that you can carry it, and it's taking that step forward. Now sometimes you may not know what path to take, but this is where you seek leadership. They can guide you into a certain direction with the help of Holy Spirit, because we don't want to ever do anything outside of Holy Spirit. He's the one that's flying your plane. You're the co-pilot of your life, in your business, in your church, whatever you're doing. We have to take responsibility for what we're receiving and what we're putting out. And that's what good leadership is about. It's about knowing what you're capable of and actually what you can steward. So I love all that. Anybody else have anything to add?
I was just thinking about how, like it's so different from, say, going to a motivational conference or something like that. Like sometimes you go to a motivational conference and you get encouraged, right? You get like you leave and you're like, oh, so great, I'm gonna go conquer the world. And then the next day you kind of just forget that you forget that what even happened, right? Like the next day it's just back to normal. But it's different when that motivational word, that word of encouragement came from Holy Spirit, because you just keep it keeps bringing to remembrance, right? Holy Spirit just keeps
Yes.
bringing it to your remembrance. And so like something else will happen, like, oh, that reminds me of that word that I got. Oh, that, right? And he just keeps bringing it to your remembrance. It wasn't meant to be like a feel good moment of like, oh, here's some roses and butterflies for you. Like this is a word from the Lord, and what are you, going to do with it? And it sticks with you more than just like a motivational conference or something like that.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of that obedience comes from. And obedience is always hard because people have a negative connotation attached to obedience, right? Like we think of kids, oh, you have to be obedient to your family and you have to
Right.
follow all these things, right? And so it can be a very sticky type of feeling obedience. But obedience is actually, really listening to God and doing what he's asking you to do, because he has more faith in you than you have in yourself at that moment, right? But just as Sandy's point, he does bring those words back to remembrance, and the reason why that happens, it is to solidify the identity that he's calling you into. And if you're already in that identity, then he's calling you to move and act on that identity. And so it's developing that faith, and that's what the obedience is. It's, attuning yourself to hear the voice of God, so that way you can know how to steward your own life and you can know how to steward others. Because if you know how to steward your own life, all you're going to do is produce good fruit, right? Or you can go the other way and try to do everything on your own, and eventually it might produce some good fruit, but eventually it's going to rot, right? Because we live in a world that there's always these circumstances, but we always want to produce good fruit, and how we do that is by stewarding what he's saying, and let it reflect out into the world, because people see your fruit all the time, right?
I was thinking as you were sharing, this is such a good point, but I was thinking like the phrase that I heard is great leaders are willing to be led, right? So
Yes.
even like the first thought is, what am I being led by? Am I being led by idols? Am I being led by my temptation? Am I being led by my flesh? Am I being led by my reasoning? Am I being led by logic? Am I being led by fear, by my
Hmm.
feelings? And I think that'll be like a great foundation when you're even assessing your own leadership, but also who you're going to listen to, right? For me
Hmm.
personally, I don't usually listen to people that haven't been where I'm going. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really
That's
seek
true.
the counsel of someone who's not going to dare greatly with what I'm about to do.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
somebody that's already dared in this way or has done some great exploits with the Spirit. I'm like, you I can listen to because you've been out there on the line where I am right now. So assessing, does this person walk according to the Spirit? Do they reason with the Spirit? Do they process things through the mind of Christ? Do they have the heart of the Father, right? Like I think these kind of things will help you because when you're being led, you have to submit, you have to surrender, you have to yield, you have to be willing not to be right, and
Yes.
willing not to have kind of like dominance. You have to humble yourself before the Lord so He can lift you up. It's not the other way around. And
Yes.
you have to do
Yeah.
that constantly. It's not just like one time and then you forget about it. Like you have to do this constantly. So who do you witness that does that? Like, is there any leader that you see that is actually dependent on the Spirit of God? Because if they're not, I wouldn't really trust their leadership because who's leading them? Trends,
Hmm.
algorithms, AI. That's even more scary to think about, right? But pay attention. I saw somebody recently, young guy. So I was like, let's go. But he was convicted because he was relying more on AI than the Holy Spirit. And I thought, well done.
Hmm.
So he took an AI like detox or like break and didn't use AI for a period of time so that he could get that information from the Lord because he stopped trusting the Lord. I'm like, well done, sir.
Wow.
But like
Yep.
a leader might be able to say, hey, it seems like you're depending a lot on AI. How is your seeking of the Lord going?
Yep.
Is your seek getting a little weak? Like what's going on there? Like what's directing you if you were to guess? Right? Or what do you know is directing you? Is there anything that you're starting to see? Well, I'm moody or I'm angry or I'm depressed. Okay, how much did you drift from the Lord?
Hmm.
Right? Like a great leader could pick up on something subtle like that somebody else might not notice if they're being led by the Spirit of God. So it can really come into um, such a powerful way to develop and cultivate relationship in your life too, whether you're a parent, whether you're a
Oh,
business owner,
yes.
a CEO. This isn't reserved for like apostles and prophets, right? In fact, that might seem limiting to some, but this is meant for everybody. So think about this. If it's meant for everybody, and if this is what God wants me to pursue as one of the greatest gifts, then what does that mean? And how do I do that practically in my life?
Yeah, that's really good. I kept thinking like AI instead use DI, divine intelligence, and that's what we
Yes.
should be using,
Yeah.
right? And it's so crazy because as you were talking, I was thinking about there was a time in my life, as a business owner having multiple locations, how I did everything myself. I only relied on myself. I was my own intelligence, and sometimes that wasn't like really bright, right?
Right.
Um, but I had to come to a time where I couldn't do it all. I had to really submit
Mm,
and I remember praying like, Lord, I cannot do all this. I need help.
yes.
That's when I realized that, he knows greater than I do, right? And
Totally.
so he started to develop trust. Like you have to trust the process, you have to trust me, and you have to trust all the people that I'm sending you. I
Yes.
had great employees, but I was controlling everything.
Mm,
And when I realized that all these people had gifts, right? They all had something special. They were unique. None of us, you know, um, overlapped the other. But when I started to pull out and recognize, because I had the help of the Holy Spirit,
yes.
and to speak to my staff in a certain way that brought those things out, my business began to multiply
Oh,
and that you could see the change in the staff, right? Because I was using them and I was building trust. They knew that I trusted them,
really good.
right? And it made them flourish. So when they left me to go on to a better, big and better things, they left there with another skill, not just their gift, but they left with another gift.
Really good.
And that's what I like about all this because we don't realize how much leadership is in our lives. A lot of people think, oh, you have to be a leader to do this and that. No, you don't. Like, you can be, like you said, a leader in your relationship. Like, I love the fact, I mean, even in my marriage, my husband and I are both leaders. And so we try to not outdo each other on purpose, but my husband's a leader, right? So I love that he's a leader because he can do things so well that I can't, right? And then I can do well. And then my business, being in relationship with girlfriends and stuff like that. Like, I see so much leadership, and then, working, with these ladies, like how we're all so unique and we lead people in our own unique way and our environments, and how we can uplift everybody around us, and we grow those people. And that's what I mean. I was in prayer yesterday, and the Lord told me, you don't have to be a good builder to be a leader, right? Because as long as you're leading, you have to identify all those people underneath you in order to lead them to their greatness. It's not your greatness, it's their greatness, which eventually highlights God's greatness. And that was so profound. And I think it's a really beautiful thing for someone to walk away with. And I almost feel like someone needed to hear that today, you know, because we don't always have to be good at what we do. What we do is we identify and we work together as a team, and we build from there. Because not everybody can build a foundation, because if they do that, no one goes anywhere. We have to build up,
It's true.
right?
It's true. That's so good, right? Like it's you can outdo each other in showing love. So I love that for you, new husband. Like you can definitely work on that one.
Yeah.
But I think it's spurring one another on to love and good works. Like you do this
Yeah.
spiritually, right? You don't know what love and good works are apart from God, right? Because
Right.
apart from God, we are nothing. Apart from God, we can do no good thing. So we can't even distinguish apart from Him. And most of the things that involve the spirit, we feel weak in the natural. Like we are going to feel
Yeah.
so ill equipped. We're going to feel so underqualified. We're going to feel so literally void of human capacities, right? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all the time. We're going to be
Yes.
exhausted, tired, like there's going to be so many things. But God says He shows up all the more powerfully through your weakness. So you have to be willing
Yeah.
to surrender it, admit it, not be seen as put together, not be seen as totally in control and super impressive. Like sometimes you just being human is what works, right? It's the
Hmm.
unless you become like a child, you can't enter the kingdom. So thinking about things that simply, like, do I just simply trust or do I make that complicated? Do I just simply believe or am I overthinking everything? Do I just simply obey? Right? Or do I make it about if I feel like obeying it or not? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
great leadership is actually simple in execution, harder in terms of like levels of difficulty, levels of sacrifice, levels of surrender, levels of trust, levels of faith. That's the part that makes it harder when that's not practiced.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I like what you
Definitely.
talked about trust, like trusting your employees, that kind of thing. So I think that's where a good leader isn't always what you think it is. Like a good leader allows their people to make mistakes and then just
Hmm.
recorrect them, right? And I think sometimes if we're a leader and we are too controlling, right, we're trying to micromanage, we're trying to like prevent them from making the mistakes. We're on them, right? And like that's not going to help them grow.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to be willing to let the mistake happen
Hmm.
as a leader. Like, no, I'm just going to let them try, fail, and, and just guide them along the way. And
Hmm.
well, how do you fix it when you mess up? How do you fix it when you,
Well,
and
well,
so,
even to that point, Sandy, it's also knowing that you're doing the same thing that they're doing,
yeah,
because you have to lead by your fruit, right?
yeah.
And this reminds me of a quote I just saw recently, because that the Spurs are doing so well now. Like, I'm so happy for them. Um, but there came across a clip of Michael Jordan, and the reporter asked him, "Who is the best captain ever in the NBA?" And I thought, oh, he's going to say himself, right? And he says, "Oh, I would love to say myself, but it's not me." And so my ears perked up. He says it's Tim Duncan. And I
Mm.
was like, whoa, what's he going to say? But he said something, and I was like, oh my God, like he's so right on that Tim Duncan will listen to what the coach says. He does exactly what the coach says. He plays, he corrects just as the coach says, and it trickles down because now he's leading his team as an example of what it's like to be obedient to the voice that's leading him, right? And so that was all that time where the Spurs were, winning championships, who were doing really well. But that hit me like to my core.
Mm.
Because it's right. I mean, when we get in align with God and we do what He says and we're obedient to that, it can trickle down again to the fruit. It can trickle down to the people below us, and that's what's visible, right? That's not me being visible. That's God being visible. And then people, that's what this world needs. We need more leaders who can produce that kind of fruit through their obedience, through their accountability, because we have a responsibility to everyone below us, even ourselves, to hold ourselves accountable, right? And to the Word of God. And that's the only way that any of us could ever make change in our businesses, in our marriages, any of our relationships, even like I said, with our own spirituality, with that connection of God, that's where it starts, because we can't be plugged into something if we don't have the power to it, if we don't have the electricity. We have to be held in a container, so that way we have that power, that energy pack that keeps us moving forward.
Yeah, so good. I was
So good.
hearing as you were sharing too, rightful identity, like restoring
Mm,
dignity and
yes.
identity back into people. We talked about this a little bit with courage and identity on a previous session here, but I think that's what great leadership does, especially with divine intel, if you will,
Yes.
or all these supernatural inputs, because a disciple is discipled. Right? So
Yes.
you're not going to be a good leader if no one's leading you. So that's something to think about. And if you're not pouring into others as well, like there should be somebody pouring into you and people that you're pouring into at
Amen.
all times. But I think when you think about restoring dignity, many people don't have the luxury of knowing who they are, not in God, right? And then if you don't know
Hmm.
who you are in God, then you don't know what your purpose is. And then if you don't know what your purpose is, you don't really know what kind of legacy that you're establishing. You know what I mean? You're kind of just like
Hmm.
getting through the day. So great leaders, especially in the prophetic, are restoring dignity. They're restoring identity. It's like restoration and redemption in real time. They will look at you and they'll see what God sees and pull that out of you. And no one has looked at you like that in your whole life or spoke like that to you in your whole
Yeah.
life. And people usually see what's wrong with you, not what's right with
Yes.
you. Like they just call out all your dirt and you're like, oh, original.
Thank
Mhm.
Thought I was already doing a great job of that myself,
Exactly.
right? Like they will call out all the dirt in you, or they won't think very highly of you. They won't think a whole lot of your capabilities, or worse, they feel threatened by you being powerful, which is not what great leaders do. And then they'll try to like cap you. Like you can go far, but not farther than me, is kind of what it can look like in the world, which doesn't make sense. But great leaders will help you collapse time on your
Yes.
journey. They'll help restore dignity to you. They'll help you walk in agreement with God and His plan and His will for your life. And that is acceleration in motion. Like that's literally how He redeems time in real time. And that has everything to do with how you see yourself, how you love yourself, which is the biggest leadership lesson, because that's going to impact how you treat anybody connected to you, whether you're paid
Hmm.
for it or not. Right?
Yes.
And I was sharing on this the other day, like how you are loving people is how you view God. It's literally how you are testifying about who God is. And great leaders love well. Great leaders forgive well. Great leaders are willing to go out in the deep and pioneer faith, what God is showing
Yes.
them, and bring other people into that with them and collaborate. So it's just interesting when you think about if dignity were restored here, if
Hmm.
redemption were to happen here, if um, there's glory that comes out of this, this is what great leaders are going for, and that's what they're partnering with. So I would also view leadership as the agreements people are making, um, the partnerships that they have and where they're actually leading people to. If they're leading them into more fear, lack, and limitation, I would question that leadership. But if they're leading them into more freedom, more faith, more wisdom, more discernment, more maturity, more empowerment, that looks different. And it's not random. None of that is random.
Well, I know I've talked about this before too, about how the church has its place, right? And the church does the church things that it does, and some of them do it well and some not so well. But I grew up in the church. I've gone to several different churches, and I don't know if it's just the ones I've been to, but I always struggled with that because I would hear the message of, you need someone to hold on to, and then you need someone else's hand to hold on. You know what I mean? Like you need the mentor and you need the mentee, and you should be in the middle. And I was always kind of like, yeah, but where are those people? Like I'm coming to church, but who's my leader? Like I usually go to big churches for some reason. I like the big church, and it's like, okay, I don't really have somebody who's like one-on-one mentoring me. And then like, okay, well, I might be able to, mentor somebody who's in my small group or something, but they're more like my peer or my friend. So then it was sort of like, where do you get these relationships that are like intentional of like, I'm intentional about growing. I'm intentional about mentoring or coaching or and then finding this world of life coaching and finding courage co and specifically this is kind of what we do. Like yes, we're friends, yes, we love each other, but there's an intentionality to us meeting together. Like we're here for God to grow our relationships, to grow our relationships with each other, and like Tamara said, to reach out to other people, right? We're here intentionally. This isn't just like, oh, I need community, I want to hang out with my girls, right? Like, yeah, you're my girls, but that's not why we're here. Like we're here with intention of this like mentor, mentee, accountability, whatever you want to call it. And it's, in my opinion, something that the church needs to catch up with
Yes.
because I never, in my years,
Three years.
was able to really get that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've had great relationships in my life, and there's been certain people that have, spoken into my life here and there, but not like, like I'll hear people say like, "Oh, my spiritual mama," or like, "Oh, she was my lady that I looked up to," and I was like, I don't really, never really had that. So that's one thing I really love about Courage Co. and like what we're doing here, because whether it's prophetic or the mastermind or the coaching certification, whatever it is, it's intentional. And you've done such a great job of like leading us, managing these relationships. And, sometimes the lines get blurred and you're like, I don't know what to do with this, like this is weird, but, done such a great job of managing that and creating these spaces where we can, explore our own leadership abilities or that kind of thing. So I think this is, kind of where God is going in the world, is creating these, what do we call them? Like a hub, right?
Yeah.
Creating these
Yeah.
hubs where we can come and get trained, we can come and have these relationships, and we can be intentional about our spiritual growth. And I just went off on a tangent, but
I love that you shared this. Thank you for honoring that as well. But I love that you shared this because it made me think about all of you. All of you prayed. Like great leaders pray. Right? Like, so I don't think that that's uncommon that many people are in this, because we're in like the greatest relational crisis that we've ever seen on the planet. Like literally. We're kind of more connected than ever, but the least connected than ever. And then we don't even know how to connect ever. Like, if it means I have to leave my house and put on real clothes, I'm not here for it. You know what I mean? Like,
if it's all
what?
pants, then no.
Right. Like, if I have to like leave couch and blanket, I'm not in. Right? Like, it's very bizarre. If I can just like stream on the phone, you got me. Right? Like, it's really bizarre. But I think about this, even if you don't have, I started calling them divine connections. Like, I know you've got relationships for me that value kind of like the essence or the quality of me, spiritually speaking. Do you see what I'm saying? Or they can even see that in a way that other people cannot. Like, I know that you have these divine connections. We're connected by you in a divinely orchestrated way, God, and you have purposes for our connection, and it's going to be so meaningful, and it'll be so clear and so evident. But I remember kind of like Sandy, I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, and I was like, Lord, need a Q-tip? Like, are you hearing me? Like, right? Like, I'm like, for the love, like, I just feel like we're not there yet. It's like you kind of have your work associates, you've got like the volunteer crew at the church, but it's not the same. And I'm like, no, it's like bigger. I'm just willing to believe it's possible. So seeing beyond, great leaders take people's beyond. They're willing to risk and see beyond what is. They will pray and believe for it, and believing can feel really risky. And then there's a time of fulfillment where this happens. But all of you prayed, which I think was such a really great point. Like, none of you knew each other before you got here, and all of you prayed specific prayers that got you here, and vice versa, right? And I think that that's actually really compelling. We see many leaders, even in faith spaces, that the minute they hit some level of success, they stop praying and they stop connecting to the Lord, and they start running their own thing, whatever that thing is. And you can feel and sense the difference there. And so it's just worth noting in that, even if you don't have it, you can pray for that, because God knows exactly how to line it up for you. And once you pray about it, you're now more open and receptive to being led into those places, so that you can recognize what they are, or who they are when God shows you. You're like, this strangely matches my prayer, like exactly, or like better. Is that you, God? Like, it's actually fascinating how it happens, but there's a why behind that too, because there's going to be a journey that you go on together, right? And there's going to be like leadership lessons and challenges and different things that you go on together, because God will knit you together, and you're going to have to remember that he brought you together, and how to stay unified and how to stay fortified through different things. And that's going to help you see why you need the prophetic. Also, the diversity of humans, gifts, talents, and even hearing from God, the diversity of the prophetic, and why that's all so supernaturally bountiful. Like, it's such a wonderful thing when you can see it, because then you can trust God differently and trust people he sends to you differently. Maybe beyond what you've ever trusted yourself or other people before, but you can, because you know it's God, and that changes everything. So great leaders pray. Great leaders follow the direction of the Lord and are willing to risk. And I think, Sandy, as you were sharing, I was thinking about great leaders contend for relationships, not comfort. Does that make sense? Like, great leaders are willing to get uncomfortable, because they're not going to protect their own ego. They're going to protect the relationship. They're going to protect what God is building outside of their comfort zones, outside of perceptions, outside of what feels good, whatever that is. Like, they will fight for the relationships, and you will see fruit of that. So good, you guys.
Think of the greatest leader. We should all.
Whoops.
If we just be Christ-like.
Have we been talking about somebody else?
He's our role model, and if we just follow that.
Well, geez, Susie, thanks for that.
Just pulling out the little golden nugget.
And there's Jesus, by the way.
Oh yeah, whoops. We should probably listen to him. Great.
But yeah, just a great leader is pulling all the golden nuggets out of, I mean, Jesus had all those disciples who were, broken people and everything, but he pulled the golden nuggets out of them and didn't say, oh well, pass you, because you're whatever, you're just a fisherman, or you're the tax collector. Yes. And seeing that potential in every one of them. So yeah,
I mean, it's so good, even the examples that you're sharing, because Jesus already knew people before they demonstrated their character. So he already knew he had a betrayer in his midst. He already knew he had a thief. He already knew he's going to have people that lie in his name, that abandon him, or whatever it is, that neglect him when he needed them most. Like, hello, guys, would you just pray with me? Oh, you'll sleep. Perfect. You'll sleep. That's great. Right? Like, he already had that knowing, that awareness, and he already chose his position with those people.
Mhm.
and how he was going
Hmm.
to walk with them. So great leaders do that too. It's almost like prophetically God will show you things about people, but in the natural, that would make you throw up ultimatums, or that would make you, shut off, shut down. But God usually has you lean in because that's really where like the rubber meets the road. So you can't look like Jesus without Jesus, I think is the great example.
Yeah.
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 So you're going to need the Spirit of God to forgive, right? Like it's not a natural thing to do, or to obey in a pit and in a hard place, or like to walk with somebody through. You might meet them in a dark chapter. To walk with them through a dark chapter because God showed you the light chapter. Like, and that's not. I don't know that that's how we're trained in the world that we live in right now.
Not
Just
really.
it's all good stuff. Yeah. So I mean, just like they said, you're training leaders, and that's what we have to do, right? And that leader also, finding leaders that their personal life also reflects what they do in their leadership, just like as you guys were saying. I feel like we answered most of the questions without asking the question. So how do you, this is a good one. So how do you actually stay grounded and healthy while building something as a leader?
Read full capacity. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking probably join Courage Co because that's where the
Oh my
building's going to
God.
begin.
That's so
Surround
good.
yourself with other great leaders, other
Mhm.
builders, and, pray. I don't think
Hmm.
I can get mine to do that. Um, but, always be in God's word and always seek out guidance from your greatest counselor.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's
I think
good.
it's like what Juliana was saying is like, don't get to the place where you feel successful and then, oh, I got this now, God.
Yeah.
Like we always want to be dependent on him. It's not like, like a regular human parent raises their child to eventually leave, and God doesn't do that with us. He always wants us dependent on him. So we can't
So
we
good.
can't be like, "Oh, I'm good now. Thanks.
Fly, little birdie,
I
fly.
know what I'm doing now."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's so good because it talks about, what you're saying is like, not even don't even isolate yourself either, right? Like we need community, we need like-minded people, we need builders because they hold us accountable and they speak life into us. That's the whole purpose of this whole thing. And if you isolate yourself, you slowly start disconnecting, right? And then you become part of the world again, and your fruit rots, right? So you want to root your fruit and, stay healthy by all means and have healthy boundaries as well. And again, it's just staying around healthy, grounded individuals who can call you out, can uplift you, can encourage you, and just keep building, man. That's all you can do is just that's what we're here for is to keep building. We want to get higher and higher. That's what I love about flight school, and I feel like we're building something great, and we're going to have other people to come in and help us build it and make it even greater.
Mhm.
Just an example from, well, yesterday, this morning, I was kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. And kind of getting that blah feeling and stuff. And then Tamara's like, hey, how are you? And she sends me a voice memo. And I'm like, oh, I just needed to hear that. And Sandy's like, hey, I'm starting on my prophetic summit presentation. Take a
Mhm.
look. And I'm like, okay, and it got me motivated.
Yes.
And, we're in this together, but we also encourage and build each other up as leaders.
Yeah.
So, even if you are a leader, it doesn't mean you can't be in the same level with other leaders. You don't
Mhm.
have to like
Mhm.
be ahead of everybody.
Right.
And so it was just, I loved that because I was kind of like not feeling the groove.
Yeah.
And like yeah, not getting too motivated yet, and then just hearing from you guys, just reaching out and uplifting my motivation really helped.
You said something really good. It made me think about, you said you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, right? As leaders, and I think it's people who are like visionaries, like Juliana, and I think that you hold that space so well because you probably have a million visions, ideas that we don't even know about yet. Because if we were to know about those things, we couldn't hold him. We
Yeah.
wouldn't have the
Don't tell
space
me
for
yet.
them.
Don't tell me.
Yeah. So and it just makes me think, like, if we feel like, we have all these ideas and we don't contain it, like we don't check ourselves, check our heart, check your team, then we do get too far ahead, and pretty soon we're doing it outside of Christ, outside of God, and we're starting to be the idol, right? So we want to make sure that our team is capable and able to come with us, but we should never be too far ahead that we leave everyone else behind.
Really good. What is that
Like
quote?
God.
Like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah,
Something of that nature.
it's
I
so
mean,
good.
it's true. It's not the
So it's
Bible,
like,
but it's
yeah,
a good
It's
one.
not,
like,
yeah.
I was
Don't look
thinking
it
of
up in
what you
scripture.
guys, yeah, I was thinking about what you guys know that I do is I do this thing, like hold
yeah,
things loosely because I keep going back to, which I was not great at. I was great at this for a long time.
Yeah.
If you guys can't see us, I'm like white knuckling life right
Yes.
now, okay? But I do think that's important because we don't always know what we're building and why. So you always want to be checking in with that. Like, one, who is building? Like, what spirit is building this thing? Because unless the Lord builds it, it's not going to work. So, done that enough to not even try unless the Lord's building. But who is building it? What are we building? And why are we building? Because that can change, right? Like, we don't always know God's plan or purpose for a thing. Like we know when we prophesy in part. So even what worked 2 years ago, it would have worked well and it served that season. But if you were to try to keep doing that now because it worked good then, you would be failing in this season because you're not obeying God in this season, right? And it was for that set time, for that certain purpose. And I think if we lose track of who is building, what we're building, and why we're building it, we're missing it because that
Yes.
literally can change so quickly and you might have many things that you're kind of like building all at the same time, but one, he is always building you. So are you letting him build you? Because if not, you should stop building anything else.
Yes.
Right. And then two, like what is he actually giving you authority to build? Because sometimes that's a now thing, sometimes he's giving you insights to what is to come because you're not prepared for it. So the key would be prepare.
Yeah.
Right? Like build what he's telling you to build now, but also prepare for this place that he is showing you, which is a lot of building. Like you need a different capacity to be building two things in a sense at the same time, the life you have now and also where he's taking you. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you think of investing or if you think about other industries, you are doing that too. Like you're taking care of day to day responsibilities, but you're also building for what's next. And God is the same way. But if you hold it all too tightly, you can't see beyond where you are. And then you won't be able
Yeah.
to properly manage you, people, projects, assignments, and you won't release them. When he says release, you might hang on to it too long, and you
Mhm.
won't lean in to where he tells you to really lean in because you've gotten too comfortable with this thing. You know, it's almost like when you're learning something new, you're like, well, now that I already learned it, I'm going to stay in what's comfortable because it would cost me too much to be vulnerable and
Mhm.
afraid and uncomfortable and take this risk again. I like this because I figured it out. It's almost like the minute you figure anything out, he's like, perfect, you're ready for what's next. And you're like, Gah! You know, like he keeps throwing you into you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's actually a healthy place to be in the spirit, but an uncomfortable one to be the natural because we want to look like we've got it all together. Just picture LinkedIn. Everyone knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everyone has it together. Nobody is a flawed human at all, you know? Like it's here's my resume. Here's why I'm a very important person. And God's like, man, I just need them to like surrender more.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
What, like,
the
it makes
loose
me.
thing, I think, is a big deal.
What was that movie, like, if you build it, they will come, or something?
Oh
And
yeah,
I
there is
heard, like, if he builds it and you build it with them, they will come,
yeah,
right? Or your what you're praying for will come, but you have to build it with him. You just can't expect him to come in and flood you with all this stuff. Yes, that's what he does sometimes, but he wants you to do it with him. He wants you to walk it with him. And as you were speaking, I was thinking of Nehemiah. Like, people, go read Nehemiah, because
yeah,
that is a perfect example of where he was in hearing from God and having a heart for Jerusalem, that was a ruined city, right? And so he rebuilds the wall, but he pulls everybody else in, right? And then he's attacked, he's being mocked and all these other things, but he's still able to function in his container as a leader and as a builder, and he's still maintaining the relationships of his people. He's still encouraging them while he's getting attacked, and he's still connected to God. Like you, it's and again, I always say this, but I'm starting to see the armor of God more and more on people. It's really, really interesting. And but if you got to make time to read Nehemiah, because that's probably one of the, I mean, there's so many great leaders in the Bible, but I think one, for where he was, I mean, he was a cupbearer, and he had to drink the king's wine every before the king did. And if he died, then the king wouldn't be drinking it because it was poison, right? Like, what kind of job who would want that job?
Right.
But because of that job, it gave him the leverage to be able to do what he did. And that God, like I was reading one day that when he knew he was called to build the wall, um, he had to ask the king, can I take some time off? I needed some PTO, right? And so he goes to them, but right when he's in front of the king, it says that he prayed really quickly, and God answered him and gave him whatever he needed, and the king answered him. But that's what we can do. Most people also think that praying is like these hours and hours of praying, and it's not like that. You can pray, and then God will give you what you need in that moment. And so I
I
don't know.
call them little
Nehemiah
arrow.
has so many great stories,
I agree.
so many
I
great
like to
different
call them
facets.
little arrow prayers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little zing, zingers.
a zinger. Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
love it. Well, this was good.
it's so good. Any
I
final
think, I think,
thoughts,
So
words?
good.
yeah, I think we went over, like, I don't have any more questions. Like, I think y'all prophetically answered all the questions that
Imagine
I
that.
didn't even ask. It's just crazy how that works out.
I think it's a beautiful introduction to everybody. So thank you for doing the work, Tamara, to get us to this place, because I do think that thinking about your leadership is something you should do. As you guys were sharing, I have had this thought with the Lord. It's like, would you choose you?
Yeah,
Would you entrust this to you? Would you give the best of what you have to you? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the answer to that would be probably no.
yeah,
But that helps you see like how good God is. And it kind of expands your heart to just want to glorify him in a different way, because you know that apart from him, you're not trustworthy. Apart from him, you're
exactly.
not producing the fruit of the Spirit. Apart from him, your righteousness is like filthy rags, right? Like apart from him, like
Definitely.
it's not looking too good. It's kind of stinky, like it's pretty rotten. So it's like that makes you want to lean into him all the more. That makes you want to seek him first in all that you're doing. That makes you want to genuinely taste and see his goodness and discover what's possible with him, because you already have some insight into what's not going to happen without
Hmm.
him. You know what I mean? So anyway, I do think it's a great conversation to keep having and to use as something maybe you come back and you listen to this episode, but also something that you start talking about
Yeah.
amongst your friends and other people that you're connected to. Any
Mhm.
final words, ladies, for Prophetic Summit and what they're gonna get?
Just can't wait to see everyone there. I mean, they're
Yeah.
gonna, it's, you always think what you know you're getting yourself into, but you really don't know what you're getting into, because it's so much goodness that we could sit here and talk until we're blue in the face, but God is going to do something different every single time. So
True.
it's really hard for us to convey what it actually is, because he's going to move you differently than he moved us.
True.
And I
It's
think
just
when
full of
something,
goodness.
and I think when something is free, we think that it's not going to be valuable. But if any of you know Juliana, you know that that's not going to be the case. So
That is true.
It's a trick.
it's a trick.
As you say, we go deep. We go deep, not
Yeah.
basic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We
which is
throw you into the deep end very quickly
Mhm.
with no
With
floaties.
no floaty.
Yeah.
so basically it's just your 5-day introduction to your 6-month journey. So
Yes.
All good.
And more. We don't know what's going to happen. Well, we do, but We don't. We call it bamboozling. So you'll have a holy bamboozle with the Lord with us, and we're just happy to be along the journey. So we will put all the details below for you guys to register. Again, this is free. I recommend bringing a leader and an accountability buddy. Also, making sure that if you are pretty clear that you want to grow in the prophetic, that you apply for the prophetic, because that deadline closes on June 23rd. So thank you for listening, and until next time, stay blessed. If today's episode encouraged your spirit, share it and leave a review so that other faith walkers can find their way home. And if you're ready for mentorship, activation, and community, join us inside Courage Co. It's just $20 a month to walk with us. You can access it at www.courageco.org.